Greetings, Ani, Bojo, Kwekwe, Tansi, Scano. Hello, it's Catherine and Brian from Moonstarlodge in South Central Ontario, Canada, bringing you a reading for the week of March 16th to the 22nd. There's a lot happening this week. We're going to touch each and every bit of it. So strap on your IV drip of coffee or your mug of tea or whatever it is that you're choosing, and we're going to go with a wild week. However, before I begin, I would like to thank each and every person who assisted us in the past couple of weeks. As many of you know, I did not get out of the house for 110 days over the Christmas, from November till my birthday on the 2nd. And that's because wheelchairs and winter snow don't work. And so getting out on my birthday, Brian was very honorable and made sure I got out. And we picked up some food and stuff, but we also picked up norovirus, which hit hard on the Wednesday. And we continue to feel, even today, waves and ebbs and flows of not feeling good. So a lot of people are to be thanked for their going and getting everything from bananas and orange juice to whole loads of groceries to just dropping soup at the door. But one of the most beautiful things I got was this ring from my friend Lisa, the stone artist. And what she won't know, unless she listens to this, is that just a few days before she dropped it in, and I couldn't even open it for several days. I found through Family Search, which is the Mormon geological, I'm going to mess up my words today big time, the genealogy site for the Mormon Church. And so I have actively pursued stuff. And they told me one of my ancestors, and they outline how you're connected, was Hatshepsut, which was one of the pharaohs. I've never had that show up before, but with AI and expansion of search services. So this is a God's eye, and it's Labradorite, and it's green, and my eyes are green, and she would never know with a little bit of carving in here that this couldn't have been the most on-spot birthday gift. So thank you, Lisa, and thank you to everyone else. Anyway, we may still be calling on a few of you for help if this doesn't pass soon. It's really badly damaged my one eye, as viruses will attack the weakest of us. So there's no extra lighting today on purpose. I asked Brian to just hold back on the extra lighting. And unfortunately, he does have one light, and it's going right in my eye, so I'm a little scattered here. So what's going on this week of the 16th to the 22nd? Well, on the 18th, we have the 4th new moon cycle. And I'm just grabbing my book. And that's Looks Far Woman. I like when she comes each year. I find my own grandmother, Weighs the Truth, to be a little bit severe and scary for me, because I really have to look at things that I've been avoiding being truthful about within myself. Looks Far Woman, however, is the seer, oracle, dreamer, prophet, keeper of the golden door and the crack in the universe, the mother of visions, dreams, and psychic impressions, the guardian of the dream time and the keeper of inner potential. She teaches us, I have to take these glasses off. So Looks Far Woman teaches us how to understand our visions, dreams, feelings, and impressions, how to enter the dream time, go into other realms, and through the crack in the universe, how to properly use our psychic abilities and gifts of prophecy for humanity, how to use spiritual boundaries, psychic self-defense, and respect those boundaries in others, and how to use our inner potential to become healed healers. She teaches us how to see the truth. And there's a lot I could add about what's appropriate, you know, minerals and crystals and things, but that's for another day. Because we also have spring equinox. And spring equinox is on the 20th. And that's its own shift. It's a liminal space. A couple days before, a couple days after. And so it's overlapping the transition to the grandmother. In fact, our reading today, being as it starts on the 16th, is already in the increasing energy toward this new moon. So we're losing one grandmother, gaining another energy shift. Now we're moving to spring equinox and its liminal space. And on the 21st, we shift out of Pisces. And I love Dr. Michael Lennox calls it the birth canal of the universe into Aries, which is the beginning of the new astrological cycle for 2026. So lots happening. That being said, I have often pulled out Ostara, the tarot for spring equinox, and I love to pull out the Ostara Oracle by LorraineAnderson and company. But this year, of course, they wanted something different, and actually so did I. So I have to say there's nothing better than decks with women with big hair, trees growing out of their hair, and birds and fruit and stuff in their head. Would I wear that look? Not in this incarnation, but it speaks of growth at so many levels if you look past what the initial silliness of the image might suggest. So we have all kinds of very similar art styles in all of the decks, but the Marigold Tarot, which I'm using for the ancestors, but marigold is a plant, and the LorraineAnderson deck about the seasons, so about Ostara. Anyway, all of that being said, let's go to the cards. Sir Brian. Oh, we're there now?
We're there.
Oh, okay. You silly bastard. All right. So here are the mystical moments. Two cards came up reversed. This one didn't have to be reversed, but this one does. And there's a reason for that. And we will get to it. And I'm glad it's reversed. It's not bad. It's just putting a different spin on the entire week. So our significator is the Two of Swords, and our ending card here is the Ten of Swords in reverse. And as always, there's one of each of the other decks clarifying. So there's 8 decks in all. Starting with the Two of Swords. This is always the analogy of withdrawing to find peace. Having struggled with, because twos are balance, struggling with some issue that requires us to come to peace. The wisdom of the bird tribes is right there, sitting on the top hat, which is really a tree. Piece of tree turns into a bird's nest. So something is incubating that is finding peace, and it's being protected. And the moon, in its time of illusion, is actually making way for clarity. So the Two of Swords tells us, like the knights who battled, but when they crossed their swords, it was a sign of truce and peace. We are coming about some issue, and it relates to the change of the seasons. Okay, what's going on in our lives in this change of seasons. It's clarified by the ancestor here, the Knight of Wands. So they're both interesting in their perspective. This Knight of Wands, who's a very active fellow, is completely the opposite in his dynamism to the quiet, solitary, reclusive peace place. It's balancing. It's a balancing thing. On a side note, purely personal, and because I'm very silly sometimes, I see this as almost a John Travolta dance move, or perhaps he's voguing for a Madonna video, but that's another story. Anyway, we've got action, we've got swiftness here, and we've got peace and repose. So this ancestor is ready to go when we're ready to go. And remember, this is a collective reading, so most of this will apply. It's a general overarching energy. It will apply to most people. It's going to apply to us differently in different ways, different threads of our lives. So we jump from the Two of Swords to the Two of Wands. So perhaps this knight is pushing us out of repose and peaceful contemplation now into the beginnings of making choices around how to move through this spring. And a very, very beautiful card with a beautiful message is the clarifier. And I wouldn't do it justice. I know what the card means, but I'm going to read you what Katrina means by it. So what's clarifying our choosing? Madam Queen Bee is big and strong, yet gentle and mothering. Her skirt is a flower tower, a home for bees that sustain our ecosystem. She gives strength, power, and life to her surroundings. She is Mother Nature. She is responsible for the tulips that send energy into the world. And all that grows, she sends energy into the tulips that send energy into the world and all that grows to know the beauty of each day. Her children are the children of Earth. She nurtures all of us. On a sidebar, I had an epiphany about tulips when I saw this card. I've always hated tulips. When I see the field around the tulips, it's not expansive. It's pulling energy out of other things. And I now understand, based on this perspective, that what they're doing is recycling excess energy and flushing it back in the earth. I wouldn't put tulips on the bedside of a patient in a hospital because their energy is going to get drained. I still wouldn't do that. But I would respect them for the difficult job they've been given to do. And so I am grateful for this analysis. So the archetype of the Queen Bee is protecting our journey and giving us strength, resiliency, and the knowledge that we are protected. Card 3 into the week is the Lovers. Bird girl and some kind of or sorry, a girl and a bird guy here with his top hat. That's a beautiful rendition of this card. The Lovers is about making choices and loving the choices we make. Whether it's a person, whether it's the balance within ourselves, the male, female, yin-yang, female bird. That I get a laugh out of that because our shamanic family side is pigeon or pigeon. Anyway, it's about being at peace and making sure all of our sides, if we can call it that, are equal and in balance. So this is another imbalance concept. The Six of Swords clarifies it. The Six of Swords here is implying that moving from rough to calm waters, moving with power and perspective, gives us a change of direction. It gives us the expanded vision of that we've handled something very rough. Fives are always rough in the suits. And this is a saying that we've done that, been there, done that, it's done, we're safe, we're moving on. The fact that she's actually holding the moon in her hands is very significant. And I think that bodes well for all of us. If there were rough patches in our ability to stay balanced within a relationship, within our families, within ourselves, with our yin-yang, is past that. We've moved past the rough patches. Ace of Wands. So we've had the Two of Wands, and now we've got the Ace of Wands following the two. Ace of Wands. Spirit is telling us we have another new beginning being presented to us. Another spiritus kind of fire in the belly. It's obviously lovely. It's a giant rose, I think that is, or perhaps a dahlia. And it's got wings of a dragonfly in the background there somewhere. But this Ace of Wands indicates a new purpose, and it's spiritually inspired. It's interesting because what clarifies it from Lori's deck is plant dying. Seek the medicine that nourishes the creative spark awaiting your presence. Plant dying is the activity. But it's about coming out of the doldrums of winter to seek the medicine that nourishes the creative spark awaiting your presence. This is the creative spark. So how do we nourish ourselves? How do we give ourselves space? For a lot of people, Brian has a joke about a lady that used to go crafts. We would subjugate artistic tendencies. He's married to somebody who puts aside their artistic life to the point of regret, because now I'm losing my sight. It's hard for me to get everything done. We cannot suppress that. We have to take this energy and put it into the creative and utilize nature to do so. Even if it's making pressed flowers out of the new blooms, do it. We have the Five of Cups here. Five of Cups is grief and loss. And I think in some ways this is the undercurrent. She's standing in water, but there's no pun intended. The undercurrent of this reading seems to me to be we have to let go of something that is stopping us from these new beginnings and new directions and peace. Why would we hold on to things that cause us grief? Because it's comfortable and because it's known. This is the issue, or the squirrel cage, when I counsel women who fall into the same relationship pattern. They're always picking alcoholics or drug addicts, or men who have connection issues, and they pick women who make it easy to disconnect from. We fall into the very thing we don't want simply because we know and understand it. We're being asked to move beyond that, to grow. Why? Because the clarifier, and I got shivers with this, is soulmate. Our soulmate comes when we can be present to them out of the confines of grief and repetitive patterns of sabotaging our lives to create loss. Let that sink in. Ace of Cups. Another ace. So this is a lovely card. Out of the shell come these flying butterflies and bits of flowers. New emotional beginnings. Well, of course, we're being encouraged that with the soulmate, the letting go of old relationships to whatever they are, people or otherwise, the soulmate comes with a new emotional beginning, and we can begin to share secrets. This is whispers, confidences, and sharing. When we hold things that are dear to us so tightly within and just never let them out, we don't get to hear the loving perspectives of a significant person, be it a lover, partner, friend, whatever. So this fox with his cute little ears, but they're not little ears, they're big ears, they're cute big ears, is taking in all his friend has to say. And we need that. We need a confidant. And whether that's just our soulmate or someone else, this is important. Okay. I pound my fists sometimes on the table after sessions with people who are just floating. They're trying to tell me they're living their best lives, stuck with partners that really don't serve anything except they fill a space that's empty. And they're not really partners. There might be a good time in bed or whatever, but they're wasting a lot of time. That's not having a good life. So here we go. Why is the Ten of Swords upside down? Spirit is telling me that the vast majority of us are releasing and letting go of something that no longer serves us. I'm going to turn it upright so you can see that all these hands that are sticking the arrows in, they remind me of the lilies, which is a symbol of death, but it's also a symbol of mature passion. And so the Ten of Swords, there is light in the distance. Something that needs to go has got to go. It's the winter, it's Pisces, it's Weighs the Truth, it's a new season. If you drag this old crap into the new season, you will suffer. If I drag it in, I will suffer. We will all suffer if we don't let the weight go. An homage there to Robbie Robertson. It's clarified by, I'm going to turn it back upside down because that's really how you're going to see it in the picture if you look at the pictures. It's clarified by brave the journey. It's a woman walking with clouds around her, and she's got kind of a floral stick, and she's in bare feet, and it's rocky and muddy and dark. We all have it. We all have the capacity to brave the journey out of whatever the Ten of Swords represents. It sounds a lot like it represents imbalance, finding peace, finding balance, finding partnership, finding purpose, working with nature to be creative, and so much more. You can flip the camera. While this may sound like the ramblings and ravings of a post-virus infested woman, please know that I very carefully chose the day that I could do this. Even though my energy is down, I know that Spirit has worked with me with clarity and with dignity. So as always, we thank you for your kindnesses, for the birthday gifts that were sent, the e-transfers and the PayPals and stuff. That was so precious to me because it really helped. And so thank you all. Thank you for your love and your kindness. And I could do a doctor, what was his name on SCTV? With the 3D House of Horrors. I'll do the Hatchet's eye at you. Anyway, with much love from the old guy and I. Aho. Peace.